Okay, so here I've got the ground floor plan where you'll see there's a curtain wall up against that living space that is different to all the others. So I'm going to make a new curtain wall type for that. But then the curtain walls that you have adjacent to that can be used or can be done using that curtain wall that we made right at the beginning, that Seidler wall, because it's just a plain wall with a frame going around it, and we can add the frames in. So make sure you've got that wall type set up, and then when you go to the wall tool, you can choose that Seidler curtain wall. If you haven't already made that one, I'll just show you the setup. So by going to edit type there, you'll see, actually if you did it earlier, I did originally have some settings in there for the vertical grid and the horizontal grid, but I've taken those out. So make sure they're both set to none, and then the mullions need to all be set to the 50 by 150, not the new thinner one that we used. So this one has a bigger frame. So that's the setup for it, and so that's the name, Seidler curtain wall. You'll need to use duplicate to make that if you haven't done that already. And I'm going to set the height there up to 04 roof, and then I've got my top offset there on -150, so I'm going to make that 0 as well.
Which top offset?
Yeah, in properties. Yeah, top offset.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's at 0, is it?
Yeah, so you might not have changed yours.
Oh.
So that's it. And so I'm going to start on the middle of this wall over here next to the entry, and then come across to the left all the way up to the wall at the edge, not almost on the edge. Yeah. So I'll show you then in the 3D view. At the moment it's just a plain glass panel with the frame going around, and so I'll put in those other panels afterwards, just in a moment. But before I do that, I'll do the others. So the next one, I'm going to go to the entry level, and now I can see the curtain wall I've just made, and I can go back to the wall tool, and this time I can leave it on, sorry, I'll check the height there, so I'm going to make sure the height goes up to 04 roof, and then going from the middle of the wall over there on the right, and then across to the left up to that curtain wall I've just drawn. So again, now looking in the 3D view, you can see again it's also a plain panel with frame around it, but it starts up higher because I've started on that entry level.
So you started on the entry level.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, so just check your properties. So if you just in edit type, just make sure you've got the horizontal grid and the vertical grid both set to none. So if you have any options in there, it'll...
So if base constraint is level 02 entry,
Yep.
does that mean that's where it finishes at the bottom?
Yeah, that's where it starts.
Or starts and then goes up and then you change
Up
it
to
to
roof.
04 roof?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Okay, so now I'm just going to look in my south elevation to check the height.
Ooh.
Yep, 2100.
That doesn't touch the roof, but I put it to level 3.
Um,
Okay, never mind.
Oh, you might need to check the height. But you can adjust that afterwards, as long as it's basically in the right place, yeah. Okay, so this next, well, it's really a window, but we're going to use this curtain wall tool for it as well. It's 2100 above the entry level, but 750 above level 1. So I'm going to go to level 1, and then using the wall tool, this time I'll put in a base offset, 750. And then to make it easier to line up, I'm going to draw it from the left this time. So it's really important there that it's right on the centre of the mullion, not the centre of the glass. The centre of the glass is just a bit below that, but the centre of the mullion should be an endpoint there. And then as you go to the right, you'll see the glass is going to the other side. So you have to press space to flip it to the right side so it lines up with the glass from the previous wall. And then I'm going to go all the way across to this wall here. So hopefully you can see why it's easier to draw it that way, because there was no middle for me to get on that side. So left to right is the easiest way to draw it, but just need to remember to use space to flip it. So yeah, this is the, well, it's above the kitchen. It's way above that level. So it's really a window at the top of that wall. Yeah. Yeah. Level 1 with the base offset 150. Oh, sorry, yes, right, yeah, 750. Yes, but I'll do it. And so once you've done that, then you can use the grid tool to put in the extra divisions that you need. So, okay, so using curtain grid, just going to place it roughly in line with the other one. You can see there it's just gone a little bit below where it needs to, so I'll bring that up in a minute. But as you've done before with the grid tool, generally you can just place them roughly where they need to go and then fine-tune the measurements afterwards. So now I need 2 vertical grids. And notice also with this one, it's putting a mullion on automatically because that's all been set up in the wall properties. So here I'm going to change it from all segments to 1 segment. And then just choose 2 sides of my door.
You're just putting them in with your other?
Yeah, pretty roughly at the moment, yeah. And then we've got another one up here for the well, for the vent really. Something like that. And you can change the measurements as you go, or you can press escape and then come back to any well, over the mullion, and without clicking anywhere, if you press tab, if you're in the right place to find the grid, it'll pick it up, but sometimes you just need to move the cursor around to find it, and I'm having trouble there finding it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I've finally got it. So that's one way. Another way is to do a crossing window right to left going across all of those things. So just like that. And then use the filter button.
What would the door be?
So, oh, the door itself will be 900 or a metre, but then we've got the framing because the grid's centred on that, so yeah, so make it 1,000 and that'll make the door 900. So I'm just going to make this size on the left there 500, and then I'll go over to the right and get the grid line on the right hand side of the door and make that 1,000. Don't need to be too precise because the door will fit in no matter what. Yep, 500 and then 1,000, yep. So you need to use tab to find the grid line. So it might take a few goes. So just there, I'm moving the cursor over the middle, but it's not the middle of the front of the mullion, it's the middle of the centre of the mullion.
Yeah.
So it's about there. And then tab, and eventually you can see that's my grid line now, and so I'll click then to select it. Yeah, that's it.
So what was it? 500
500 and then 1,000. But to put the 1000 in, you've got to select the grid line on the right of the door.
So not.
The which one? Oh yes, you can always add mullions in manually as well. So the tricky part here is that you've got this grid line lining up with the top of the wall there. Right, so that mullion there is centred on the top of the wall, and we want that to be raised so that it's in line with the mullion above. So that's got to be, oops, sorry, if I get the grid line there it is. So that will be 2150. Oh no, that can't be right. So 2100. Sorry, what am I saying? 2125. Sorry, not 2150. 2125. Half of the mullion size, and that will put it exactly in line with the mullion over there, just to make it neater. So you can don't worry if those measurements aren't perfect. You can fine tune those at any time. But this is the most important thing. Once you have those grid lines in, you then need to put the door panel in. And so if you haven't done that before,
You said 2125.
yeah. So this mullion here needs to be removed first. So I'm going to select it, and that should be fairly easy just to select. But you might have to use tab. And there you'll see it's got a pin icon. That means it's locked. So I'm going to unpin that by clicking on that pin, and then delete on the keyboard to get rid of it. So now I've got a panel of glass going all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to use tab then to highlight that and then select it. Yep. And then in properties you should see system panel glazed is the type. That means it's a glass panel. I'm going to go to edit type and show you the doors, and there's actually a bit of a bug I've noticed in Revit for the last release or two. Sometimes when the first time you go to load panels, this button won't come up the way it's supposed to, and that's what's happened to me here. Now if I duplicate, sometimes that fixes it. No, but it's not doing it this time. So I have to show you another way of getting the panels to come up, and it's fairly easy. All you need to do is go to the Insert tab, and you can do this anytime. You don't need to have the walls done. You can do this before you've even started to make your walls. So just go to Insert and then Load Family, and then go to Curtain Wall Panels. So there you'll see that these are mostly doors. Okay, so they're a special type of door though, made for curtain walls. So you can put doors into curtain walls, but you have to use these special curtain wall doors. And it's because of the way curtain walls are made. They're made differently to normal walls. Okay, so I just want a simple one. They don't have any solid panels, but they've got single glass panels, and that's what I'm going to choose. So just the second one there, curtain wall, single glass, the second family there. So I'm going to double click, and now that should have fixed the problem as well as loading the family we need. If I click on my glass panel, so again just using tab first to highlight it, edit type, and now notice the load button's there. So normally to load in those curtain wall panels you can just click on the load button and then just do what I've just done. Go to the folder curtain wall panels and then choose the one you want. So maybe I'll do that just so you can see how easy it is. This is how it should work, and it does. After you do it the first time it fixes it. So there we go. So that's loaded a double door. I don't want a double door, so back to edit type, and I'm going to just click on the list of families up the top, and you'll see there is the one that I actually want that I'd already loaded. It's curtain wall single glass. So I'm going to click OK, and you can see then we've got a glass door. Now we actually don't want a glass door, we want a solid door. So I'm going to go back to edit type.
Even doors or curtain walls?
Curtain walls. So this is curtain wall panels. So I'm going to just go to edit type, duplicate and call it solid curtain door. And I'm just going to change the thickness, the glazing material to a solid material. So it's glass, and I'll change that, clicking on that glass material, and I'm going to go down and find a solid material. Okay, so I should have a paint. So it's going some list there. So I've got paints and coatings. Because we haven't done a lot with materials, we've done a little bit, but I'll show you again how to make a new one. So I could use that material, but if you want a different colour, I'll show you how to make a new one from scratch. Easiest way is to make sure you've got the materials library panel at the bottom. If you don't see that extra panel, you've got the button at the top there that turns it on and off. So make sure you realise this list of materials is the list in your project. When you turn on that extra panel, that's your library that you can use to load materials into your project. And now if I click on the little arrow next to home, this is the thing most people miss, you've got to click on that to see the folders. And so AEC materials is actually a really good one. AEC just means architecture, engineering, construction. And so when you go down, you'll see I think in miscellaneous, pretty sure there's a paint there. Okay, so there's paint. So I'm just going to click on the arrow to load that in. Right click on the new paint at the top and go to rename and call it paint. Well, it's a black and white photo, so we can't tell the colour. In fact, I assumed it was solid, but because normally they would be, but it is solid. Yeah, just look. Oh, so it's blue. Okay, let's do blue. Green. Maybe they painted it. Well, I think blue would be better. So let's do blue. I'm not a fan of green at all as a colour in your colour schemes because it's not a naturally occurring colour, believe it or not. I mean, it's been made a lot lately, and you see it in nature all the time, but in traditional paints you don't really come across it all that often, so I tend not to use it. Some people like it, but again, I'm not a fan, so I'm going to make it blue. Paint blue, and then here you can see it's still obviously got the white thumbnail there, so we know it's still that colour. I'm going to go to appearance and change the colour there. So I'm just going to go to the colour swatch here and choose basically the closest, well that is just full to blue, and you can always adjust that brightness there if you want to. Okay, so the swatch over here has updated, but we need to go back to graphics then and tick this option here, use vendor appearance, which will match the colour. Right, so by doing it that way, by doing the appearance first, it saves you a step, so you don't have to do it in graphics, just tick that option there. So that's it, done. If I click OK, OK, solid panel. And that will do for now for the door. So I'll do another video on loading the panel in. I think I'll just actually show you how to put the divisions in, and I'll show you how to put the panel in afterwards. So here for this other wall, we've got these unusual panels which a bit hard to see there. You'll see them on the photos on the inside. Here we are. Right, so I'll give you those. I'll give you a family for those. They're actually, I think they curve slightly. Or, oh, has anyone had a close look at those? They're interesting. So it looks like they curve. I could be wrong. It's here, you can see. Could just be the lighting that's making it look like that. But they're definitely opaque anyway. And so we'll need a special panel for those. Here we go, so you can see there, that looks like it's different material anyway, and it does look like it curves. So so that's not a problem. If it does curve, I can make a family, and I'll give that to you. So for now though, I just want to get the divisions in that we need. So I'm going to, with that wall selected, go to Edit Type, and duplicate, and we'll call it Curtain Wall Panels. Oops. And so here you can see how many panels there are. So you've got 2 below the clear ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 altogether. Right, now I'm just going to click OK so I can save the file, because it does seem to crash sometimes when you're doing these things. So I'm just going to make sure I've saved it. Okay, so with that wall selected again, I've made my new type, so I'm just going to go to Edit Type now and change the options, which are to set vertical grid to fixed number, and then horizontal grid to the same fixed number. Yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, and it's put in a pretty arbitrary setting there, but I'm just going to go down, and then you can see, so vertical grid is on 4. I want that to be on, is it 9? I'll press apply. And, oh sorry, so it's always does it the opposite to what I think it should. So vertical grid will be 2. So the vertical, also 1, sorry. It's, yeah, again, they count the grids, not the panels, so it's the 1 grid line in here. And so it's dividing up to make the horizontal panels, but they call that the vertical grid. And then horizontal will be 9. So in properties, it'll have those. Oh, so you've got to check your type. So go back to Edit Type and make sure it's on fixed number. And now, yeah, God, how good is that? So you can see there, this grid, this mullion is slightly above this one. And that's exactly how it's turned out. Yeah, so you might have to add them in. It depends how your wall's set up. So I'll show you how to get the mullions a bit thicker. You don't really have to, but if you want to, you can make them look more like they do there. In the interior, they don't look like that anyway, and that's the most important thing. And like I said, the panels as well, we'll look at later. For now, looking at the interior perspective now. Okay, so very similar to what you really have. Yep, so Right, so we've got to put the wall across here, of course, but otherwise it's getting really close.